Okay, hey everyone, my name is Lee Parry. I'm from Yahoo. I'm a product manager in the communications group. So I just wanted to, I'm going to show you a little demo today of something we're working on. It's a little bit different from the other things. We're not using any kind of app wrapper. This is actually an HTML5 web app running in Safari. But I wanted to start off by showing you a little reason why we're interested still in mobile webmail, even on the iPhone, where we have such a great IMAP client and where Yahoo is integrated for every user. So we're visited by over 3,500 different types of devices every day. So the WebKit world is very exciting, and we're very excited about it. But while we're talking about that, we shouldn't forget the fact that actually WebKit still is not the majority of mobile users out there in the world. We actually support over 5,000 different types of devices at Yahoo. It is the most popular single device accessing Yahoo's mobile webmail. You get nearly 4 million iOS users every month. And for every one Nexus One, we're getting 2 Motorola Droids, but 94 iPhones. So as rapidly as Android is growing, iPhone is still very dominant. So if I'd like to take you to the demo, so I'm using the simulator here. So this is our upcoming HTML5 mobile webmail. It's codenamed Mercury for various arcane reasons I won't bore you with today. You can see here that we have kind of fake scrolling. We've already talked about that a little bit today. One of the limitations, and one of the things I want to kind of pick up on this, is some of the limitations still with web apps and HTML5. Apple's iPhone Safari implementation doesn't support position fixed due to the viewport. Technically, it does support position fixed. It's just that the viewport is a layer on top of the document and the window. So you're sliding around this crop area. That means if you want to do things like fixed headers and footers in the WebKit views, you need to actually do all the scrolling work yourself. So we actually developed a library internally. We call it MUI. We've done this ourselves rather than go with a third-party or open-source library because we want control of our own destiny, frankly. So MUI is targeting at iOS devices and Android right now. We'll be rolling out to Palm, WebOS later in the year, RIM, and Samsung Bada, which has a very similar implementation to Android. I can take you through a few of these things. You can start to get kind of much more application-like behaviors. All these kind of things that users expect. We can drill down. We're using the client-side SQL databases so that any mail that you access is stored locally in the database. So even if you go offline, you can still read those messages. You can still search through those messages. You can actually even compose messages while offline. We download in the background your Yahoo address book. It's kind of optimized package of data. So we can do things like type ahead, look up, even while you're offline. And if I want to, I can compose this message on an aeroplane, and it will stay in my outbox until I'm back into connectivity. So none of this stuff, once you've used it once, none of this stuff needs to be connected to the internet to work. We're doing a few kind of product-y features here that we think are interesting. We've noticed that actually a lot of our users, a huge amount of email is photo sharing, even today with things like Facebook and Twitter. So we're actually doing some work to look inside people's messages and bring these things out right into the inbox view itself. So it's a much more dynamic stream of events rather than the more traditional inbox. The first step is that we're doing this with photo attachments. We're also reaching out to APIs for things like YouTube links if we detect them in the message, so we can generate a thumbnail. And we've got lots of ideas about how we can expand that kind of approach in the future, from things like package tracking to all kinds of video inline, all kinds of things. We're also, for the first time, due to some of the kind of interface advancements that HTML5 gives you, the ability to kind of have dialogues and toggles and anything that you can do on a native interface. You can do much more in the way of management. Typically, mobile web in the past for mail usage has been very limited. Things like creating folders, renaming folders, moving messages, all that kind of classification stuff has been pretty much ignored. And I'm guessing many of you are using the iPhone. One of the biggest complaints we get from our Yahoo Mail users who are using the native IMAP client is that they can't mark as spam. Some of those simple features that are so core to something like Yahoo Mail, users really want to know that they've told Yahoo that this is an abusive message, this is a spam message. And right now we rely on Apple adding that kind of functionality. And if they want to add it in their vanilla client, they need to add it for every single provider of email that they support. So what we're trying to do here is actually really just have a fully branded, owned and operated Yahoo Mail experience. And we'll be later in the year, we'll be doing a refresh of the desktop, where you'll see a very similar look and feel for our desktop mail. So across all of our suite of products, we'll be able to control a consistent look and feel, consistent iconography and text labels. And that's one of the big advantages, that rather than going the native app route with the HTML, we can share a lot of the CSS, a lot of the JavaScript code that we're using on the desktop as well. We've chosen not to go with the app wrapper route, but that does leave us at some disadvantages. Some of the problems that we see with HTML5 right now with rival to applications, push notification, there's no solution for that right now. SMS would be the only real way of doing it. Running in the background, even with Apple's new multitasking capabilities, websites are excluded from that. So it really depends on what you need to use. We've decided that building a messenger application as a pure HTML5 website from Safari probably doesn't make that much sense for us. Although, however, going down the app wrapper route would make a lot more sense. So that's basically the product we're building right now, and we're going to be releasing later on this summer. We're going out to iPhone first, then rolling out to iPad, Android. And I echo the comments of some of the previous speakers when it comes to Android. I also am involved with making native Android applications, some of which have WebKit views embedded, and Android is a problem. We don't support anything less than 2.0 for Android. You have a crazy matrix. If anyone looked at Android, you have low, medium, and high density. You have low, medium, and high screen physical dimensions. And then you're going to have 1.5, 1.6, 2.0, 2.0.1, 2.1, and now Froyo 2.2. Some of these things use a trackball, some of these things use a joypad, some of these are touchscreen, some of them have a hardware keyboard that slides out and goes into landscape mode. So despite the fact that WebKit is leveling the playing field a little bit for us guys, let's not get too excited. There's still an awful lot of work you need to do on the developer side, on the product side, to really make one product that works across all these devices. Any questions?